What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
How we doing?
I always got to hear it. I always got to hear him start rapping. Then I feel good. Then I feel like I'm ready to go for a podcast. That's like the last little switch for me.
That's it.
And this regular black can.
Oh man, don't be
Rockstar.
advertising that
Not
shit,
they're,
bro.
What? Give a fuck.
Full
What?
sugar. It's a sugar thing. I don't care about Rockstar.
It's New Year's Eve, man. I said, you know what? I haven't had an original in a long time.
Will's getting crazy.
I'm all about being an original. I'm gonna have an original. An original for an original in support of other originals. That's how we're going to frame this thing up. This is not a sponsor of the Day $1 podcast. However, if you guys are watching, we'd fucking love to talk to you.
Welcome, guys, to the Day $1 podcast. We appreciate you listening. A lot of you, it's your first time hearing a live episode from us.
You got a good call to action you want everybody here today too, right?
No, that was it. Let's get our name out there.
Danny, hey, we appreciate the support from all of you guys. Wherever you come from, whether you're coming from Andy Frisella's group, what a great culture they are.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of support from them since we've been on the podcast with Andy and his brother Sal. Just sharing it, just getting the word out and sharing everything that we're talking about, everything that we're doing. We super appreciate it. Super appreciate it.
Yeah, we're definitely still on the climb, guys, for sure. And we've been gaining a lot of traction recently, which has been really, really awesome. And that's all thanks to you guys and literally just sharing the episode, taking the screenshots and putting it on your Instagram. Anything you guys do, it helps us out a ton. And with us, again, still being on the climb, we're trying to make as big of an impact as we can. So we're appreciative of everything you guys do to support us.
Yeah, I think we're speaking of climb. I think we're always going to be on the climb, man. Like, especially after hanging out with Andy and just watching where he's at with his climb and what he wants to accomplish. I think we're very similar as far as like, man, the work's never done. And I like that. I like at whatever level we're at, still being a practitioner as far as being able to just give some quality things out to an audience that helps them their mindset with practical applications, specific to their industry, especially if they're in lending or real estate, and just giving tools, man, that people can take away and help.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to kind of recap 2021. Final thought.
2020.
2020.
Yep.
Man, I'm already hit it.
That's no problem, bro.
I'm just ready to go.
You jump to 2021 anytime you want.
It's that original.
It's that sugar.
It's that taurine burp I just had. No, man, just final thoughts. Probably not final thoughts. There's going to be a lot that we're going to talk about, especially in the beginning of 2021, that still reference 2020 and some accomplishments. But today, just kind of recapping, the year that it was, everything that was involved, pivoting, how we pivoted, and just some big nuggets or just takeaways we can give to the audience as far as like where we saw our pivot, how we accomplished that, and what did we do specifically that kept us moving forward and on to the best year we've ever had. Yeah.
Well, if you guys, just to give you guys a little bit of context as far as, what Will and I do as far as our day-to-day, business. We ran a traditional real estate team and we've been working together for the past couple of years, and coincidentally, right, I think it was around February, we had some really good accolades in real estate. We had done really well. We had built a really, really successful team. And pre-COVID, all of that, we just decided to, hey man, what if we just dissolved the team, rebranded you and I just run and gun, build what we see as our own brand, and then just see what we can do together. And that's what we decided to do. Kobe Bryant died, and everything just went downhill, man.
That was the first celebrity that passed away that just hit me, and regardless of your opinion of him, don't care. Just me personally, it was man, it was a bummer. And I think because I'm a dad too and I have a daughter, and just the way that they passed away, man, it just hit me in the feels.
It's the first domino, bro.
Yeah, but we did, man. We branched off. We had a traditional team with Berkshire Hathaway, and hit top 1%, hit top 0.5% in the world for that company, and kind of saw it for what it was. And great folks, great people over there. But running a traditional team out of a traditional office and being very fixed in a location takes a lot of your time and a lot of your scalability away.
To do it the right way, I'll say that, because there's teams that are ran where they don't have one-on-one meetings with their
I guess
agents.
to do it our way, to do it the way we know how to be successful.
Yeah.
We decided, man, so we made the move over to EXP, and it wasn't. There's a lot of great things about EXP, and maybe we can talk about that later. I do like revenue share. I do like a lot of the attributes that they provide, and Eli can speak to that as well. But, man, the biggest thing that moved us over when we were deciding to, man, we loved our team. We just wanted our time back. We felt like we had maximized everybody's potential on our team, and they were going to do what they were going to do and be successful. And you and I we just had different ambitions and we needed our time back to rebrand and to go into a different direction, especially with all the success we had with video, right?
So and real quick,
yeah,
I'll interject. In addition to like having time back, Will's spitting some good shit in our Friday meetings. And we've got, 10 agents on our team and we have great relationships with all of them. We do like them a lot. But half the time I'm sitting there listening to this shit and I'm like, man, this message is going out to 10 fucking people right now. Not that these 10 people don't deserve it, but this could easily be 10,000 people. Right. And in real estate, that message and the message that we spread is so needed. And every week it literally pained me just to watch this amazing message going to these 10 people. And, I'm always just like, okay, how can we get this message out to more and more people? And wherever we ended up, whether it's EXP or wherever, it had to be a place that allowed us a platform where we could just get this message out to the masses.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate your foresight into all that, because for me, as much as I do talk, I might not see I see myself how I see myself, just like everybody else does. And as much as I do talk, like I pride myself on being a practitioner and just really executing at a high level at the friction point of a deal, of just beyond, wanting to get a ton of different clients. And how do I get clients? Like, I want to make sure that brokers are just extremely proficient on what they do in the professional, because it gets a lot more referrals than some people might think. But with that being said, it's also a very restrictive mindset of, if I'm constantly that practitioner at that level, well, then my mindset's also just with the practitioners that are in front of me versus the scalability. So it was great to have some of your foresight and some of your vision there, man. It was your idea to have a podcast. We got our first couple guest appearances on there. And then once I kind of like understood some of that in our place in this world with podcasting, man, it's blown up. We've had great relationships, and I keep speaking about Andy, but what a great guy. Him and his brother, and just everybody over there, DJ, everybody over there, man, just great folks. But it just casts, it sheds some light on like what's possible and where you're at and proficient. And I do agree, man, like, man, it's so much fun to be scaled and help agents across the country versus agents in Lone Tree, right? If that makes sense. And we're building our online course. That's one thing that I'm super proud of. We've got this private Facebook group. If you guys are still listening right now, Operation Real Estate Success Agent Edition on Facebook. It's a private Facebook group for realtors, and we're literally everything we've ever done that's made us successful, whether it's branding, social media, YouTube, podcasting, relationships. Folks near and dear to my heart outside of real estate that has given skill sets or refreshed my memory on my skill sets outside of real estate that does relate to real estate, and just being a better human and just a betterment of you and your business and everything you're about. We're giving all of that away for free on that Facebook page. If you're listening, please get in there and request that. We're excited to have you, but I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the course. We are going to be finishing up a course that we started building where you can have all of that information chronological in order. You can download it and save it. We're going to give it away for super cheap. If you can't afford it, cool. We're still giving all the content away for free on that Facebook group. But I'm just proud of that, man. I'm proud of being able to scale and help more people versus just 10. And again, it's not that the 10 didn't matter. Of course they matter, man. They're still good friends of ours. It's just you start realizing how many people need help and direction with real estate. And it's like they don't realize you're an entrepreneur in this game. But you get told like, oh, managing brokers and that person's going to help you. No, they're not. Most managing brokers make chicken and flip-flops a year to be a managing broker. Yeah. And because of that, they're out doing their own deals just to survive. They don't have time to build your business. They got time to help you out with legal questions. It's on you to build your business, but that's the exciting part is it's on you, right? You can brand yourself obviously within, parameters legally, but you can really expand yourself and brand yourself how you see fit.
Well, and think bigger than real estate for listeners, like think bigger than real estate. I've always been such a big fan of being, let's say you're not an entrepreneur. Let's say you're an employee, because there's a lot of employees out there and there's nothing wrong with that. You have all the same responsibilities as an entrepreneur does as an employee. It's just you in the past as an employee, you're probably waiting for a direction or waiting, to do what you're told and just doing your job and then going home. But to really be an excellent employee and climb the ladder, if you will, I guess for lack of a better term, I was trying to come up with a better term, but climb the ladder, it's what it is. Treating that job as if it is your own business. And I promise you there is more leeway than you would imagine as far as taking on more responsibilities and just doing more self-initiated tasks that maybe you're not asked to. So don't think that this is just an entrepreneur podcast, but this is a podcast just for being a better human, being a better, just hard worker.
Well, then how do we do that? And that's what's so fun about sharing the Dan Cirillos, right? The Derek Prices, the Tom Shays, first, Brian Shantosh, having access to those people, because it's like, yeah, be a better father, be a better broker, be a better business. Like, it all starts and ends with you. So how are you bettering you, and like what challenges are you putting in front of yourself to, one, just have a barometer of where you're at in the first place, and then secondly, expose your flaws and how to mitigate those and fix them and move forward. And that's what's fun about, inviting people that I'm near and dear with, that are outside of real estate, that are just high level humans, exposing them, and it's super fun. It's super fun, and we've had a lot of success with it. And the biggest success that we had this year was I know what you're going to call the pivot. So we decided to dissolve our team. We branched off. We created Mile High Property Brothers, brokered by EXP. So we went over to EXP. We have met some good folks over there.
Amazing people.
It's not a franchise. We just got another referral today. We're literally on like 4 or 5 referrals in the past 6 months from being with EXP alone, just because of folks on private Facebook groups that respect us, appreciate what we're doing, trust the people that we came on board with, that they send us referrals. And we're on our fourth or fifth referral in the past 6 months, just from that alone, right? So there's a benefit there, but there's no franchise. It's everybody just kind of coincides together.
One big franchise, right?
One big franchise. And it's the people that we got around that was amazing. We did decide to make the move away from our team prior to COVID. But I'll tell you what, once COVID happened, it was like, man, things are getting shut down. Real estate was essential. We were like shut down for about a week, maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe about 2 weeks, yeah.
And we were always essential, but then like the restrictions they were putting on us on how we had to execute our job was getting a lot different. Obviously, we couldn't have guests in person on the podcast, and so we started getting creative. We started using Zoom, and it was like, okay, like it wasn't about being a victim. It wasn't about complaining. It was like, hey, not only do we have to figure out how to be more resourceful to reach clients and reach people, what can we do to provide value there and still be that leader and still advise? So, we were doing videos to our email list of like prior clients, of just updating them on what real estate looks like during COVID, what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. We're answering questions there. Podcast wise, we started inviting people, right? And it's like, hey, let's just scale and invite people through Zoom. Let's make sure the audio and video and everything, there's no delay to it. Like, if we're going to do it that way versus in person, we loved in person because we like the quality of it. Well, but we couldn't do that. Okay, so let's find a way to make the quality as good as possible. Man, we invested in new computers that were just higher powered. We did everything there, just to make sure that it still kept the standard of what we wanted. And we started meeting some incredible people that were doing the same thing, right? And in addition to that, we created a YouTube channel, living in Denver, Colorado. And this is where it was like, hey, we're going to get on YouTube, figure out algorithms and keyword searches and what people are searching about real estate in regards to Colorado. And let's just start giving them information there. Let's just start bringing the information to people versus waiting for people to come to us. And the way I described it was, everybody was like the game Hungry Hippos. Realtors, lender, everybody was fighting over buyers and sellers in Colorado. And everybody had a hungry hippo just trying to grab a marble. Nobody was turning around and actually witnessing the influx into our state. We were the ones that just turned around, created a great product, right? Consistent, proficiently speaking, and it just adhered to everybody that was moving to Colorado, regardless of COVID, because of career changes, lifestyle changes, whatever it was. Their life isn't stopping for COVID. Things had to keep moving. We were able to be a great resource for a lot of people because of that channel. But that was a huge pivot point for us. I know you've got a lot to say because that was your idea to talk about today, so I'm completely stealing your idea.
No, it's, yeah.
But it was like, man, what a huge pivot point for us to just adjust how we were operating with business and still finding ways to be leaders.
Yep.
And bringing the value to the consumer regardless of obstacle, right? There's always going to be obstacles. If it's not COVID, it's going to be something else. There's always obstacles. It's figuring out how you can adapt and then just scale that and become successful with it. And again, no matter what, providing the value for the consumer.
Well, dude, and this is where, like, prior to all of that stuff, before we had all those ideas, before we realized, the hungry hippos and how many people were outside coming in, what you and I did was just show up. Every single day. We didn't miss a fucking day, dude. Like, the state, I was driving over here and there's nobody on the road.
Dude, not to cut you off, so save where you're at.
Yep.
I feel like Andy right now. At least I'm keeping the subject the same. You and I made an agreement. I remember we were like a couple days into this thing, and I was like buying some in-home like workout stuff or something like that, and it was like, hey man, we were on set, and we were just having a discussion. You brought it up, I brought it up. I can't remember, probably you. And it was like, hey, man, we're on to something. Like we're doing okay. And you and I had a ton of deals that were still closing right around that time. So I was like, okay, we're okay, but hey, we just got to do this every day. Like, we just got to keep our head down and keep grinding on like providing for our families, providing for our clients, and just staying focused on the task at hand, not the distractions and the uncontrollables. And I tell you what, dude, I've been there in life before. Military operations, police operations, like I've been there before. And COVID was definitely an example of being back into an environment like that. Nobody's dying. From firefights or anything like that. It still was serious as people are dying. So I'm not saying people weren't dying. I just mean it wasn't like a super.
It's not bullets flying over your head.
No.
Yeah.
Right. So, but man, it was like, hey, we got to provide for our families. Hey, clients have questions. We got to advise for them. And it was like, hey. Get dialed in. Show up every day. Provide value. Keep focused on the controllable. Right. And if you're in it, man, if you're in it every day and you're going hard in the paint, you're going to identify those obstacles, and you're going to be able to just adapt and just roll with them, man, more adequate than you think in order to help everybody out. But I just remember that conversation we had on set one day, and it was just, hey, we just got to show up. Hey, let's just keep showing up every day. Because it was like, oh, hey, we're not hurting. Oh, hey, we're okay. All right. Like, hey, some things are changing, but we were like, hey, we're okay. Yep. Hey, we are okay. Hey, we just got to keep showing up. And whatever they throw at us, let's stay on top of it, especially in real estate, because you don't want to be breaking those rules. But we just showed up every day, and we stayed out of the weeds on a lot of the drama that was going on.
Well, dude, and that is just such a critical point there, that really I think is the cause for all the success that we've had throughout this year, was just showing up, man, and not getting caught in the news all day, not just staying home. Oh, hey, they said I couldn't go out, so I'm just going to stay home and have a snow day and sit in my jams and watch Tiger King.
Nope.
Not going to happen, dude.
That was a good show.
And guys, it was a good show.
I finished it
I did
in
too.
a night. So
I remember you told me about it before I heard, before I saw any memes or anything. Will told me about Tiger King. But the important thing, guys, and this is something too that I was thinking about just last night during my workout. It just showing up, guys, and how powerful that is to, man, maybe you're not making any progress. Maybe you're not moving forward at all. But the last thing you want to do in your fitness or your business ever is move backwards. I'll move sideways all day long before I ever take a step backwards.
Yeah, and if you're not having some benefit to it, right?
Man,
like this is where we get into like the decisions you're making. But here's the deal. You're going to find those decisions. You're going to be resourceful and find the people to be around when you're in it every day. If you're not in it and assessing it and being a practitioner every day, you're not going to have the context to be making those decisions.
Well, and even with your workouts, man, like there's days where you wake up and you're just, and your brain starts telling you, I'm not feeling it. It's going to be a waste of time. I didn't get my proper nutrition. I didn't get my rest. Nope, because the most important thing is keeping that, just the habit of just getting downstairs.
True. And, I think a lot of times COVID or, like 75 hard, you have to work out outside, right? When it's like a blizzard, everybody was outside. Yep. So sometimes people do show up when it's like very romantic to show up.
Yep.
So prior to COVID, the fact that we had showed up all summer, even when we had deals rolling in and things were going good, we were still continuing to show up.
Yep.
That's what built a reservoir of deals coming in and financial benefit of providing for our family. So when COVID hit and it did delay some things, and we did have some downtime where we had to just adjust and then not only adjust, we figured out the adjustment was like, hey, we're going to do YouTube and we're going to scale our podcast. We weren't focused on doing deals. We weren't out getting new deals, right? So we were kind of, we slowed down in that realm a little bit to build these other infrastructures to then scale to the next level, right? So if we wouldn't have had the success prior to COVID and those deals coming in, we'd have been in bad shape, or it'd have been a lot more nervous, just the stress level would have been a lot higher because of that. So not only do we show up when times are tough and your back's against the wall and it's like, you feel like Rocky, COVID, okay, I'm working out in my basement. Okay. Once you get some momentum going, like, and you're in a good place, it's still time to scale. It's still time to make adjustments. And you and I, man, we were rolling when this was all starting to come through. But it was, again, man, like once we dissolved the team, we had 16 or 24 deals that were under contract or had just closed, but then like 16 more were under contract and we were coming through with, and cool. But the work ethic never stopped. The vision of like what that next step never stopped. And I think just as important as you got to, focus on stepping up and showing up when your back's against the wall, it's also, man, when you've got some momentum and you're rolling, it's like, hey, now what, right? Like I think sometimes the complacency creeps in and we forget that we've got to maintain that. And it's not so much that you're going to keep doing the same thing. It's that the work ethic and that vision for the next step or the next endeavor cannot be complacent as you gain momentum.
I love when the topic of conversation goes this way. When you're watching a movie and they say the name of the movie in the movie, like Die Hard, he's like, I'm making this up, but now it's time to die hard or something. You're like, hey,
I'm going to live free.
That's how, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Whenever the topic of conversation goes this way, I always like pointing out to people, guys, this is exactly why our podcast is called Day $1
Yeah.
Cut to Day $1 Will Cam right here.
Yeah.
Guys, it's not just when your back is up against the wall and it's your literal Day $1. It's
how are you approaching
harder
every day?
Every single day, guys. When you're already in shape, when you're already financially successful, when you already have things going for you, it's harder to get up out of bed sometimes.
Yeah, but it's like the last thing you want to do is stop. It's like, man, you've worked so hard to get some momentum going and some success going, and now you have it. Why would you ever want to stop and have to cold start again?
Stop what got you there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
you never want to, but people don't think of it that way. It just, you get complacent and you get comfortable.
Well, and this is when it comes into systems and processes and the people you put yourself around. Because I agree, and complacency is a big thing. In the military, in law enforcement, especially like as a cop, right? Day in and day out, you're helping people, and for the most part, like they're friendly. Maybe do 100 traffic stops, right? And everything is okay. That's when it's the most dangerous. Right, because everything is just gone your way. Everything is okay. You're giving out some tickets or some warnings, and for the most part, people are civil. Like it's that car that you're creeping up to. It's that 101st car where you got 2 felony warrants sitting inside of that car, and they both got guns, and they ain't going to jail. And those guys start popping on you, and you're not prepared because the last 100 traffic stops you've been okay. This one, hey, are you going to be okay? Maybe, maybe not. And even if everything you do right and being prepared, maybe you're still not going to make it out okay. However, that's usually not the case. Usually the case is like complacency has solidified itself with your behaviors and you get caught, and it's like, man, it's like, I'm very aware of the effects and the reality of complacency. And that's where my heart goes to when I identify with complacency. So there's not too often, man, where I'm complacent with us, with our business, right? But I do think that either your past or whatever you can relate to, if you're similar to me, or remembering where you came from, if you're ground up like an Andy Frisella, or, man, more importantly, the people you're putting yourself around, especially in business, and then systems and processes of how are you setting up control measures to check in with yourself to make sure
you said that.
You're not doing that. Even if you got to call it anti-complacency meeting with self. Every Friday at 5 p.m. on your calendar. Call it what it is. Call it what it is. Like, for example, I was talking to a buddy last night, Tom Stafford. What's up, dude? If you're listening, by the way, motherfucker. He texted me at 10 p.m. Hey, bro, am I allowed to talk some shit to you?
Oh shit!
As long as I take shit back. I'm like, first of all, he's old and he's fragile. I'm like, why are you up at 10 o'clock? Like, you should have had your insure by now.
Yeah.
Right? You should be in your recliner or in your bed, right? Sleeping.
What's up,
I was
Tom?
concerned. We were concerned, Tom. And he's like, hey, I was just looking online and looking at the 75 hard challenge we got with Eric right now, Eric Colby. And he's like, he said something to the effect of like, oh, like real clever, like, oh, a Will and Eric group is called Will and Eric. And it's a 75 hard challenge benefiting, Big Fish Foundation. Oh, so we call it Will and Eric Big Fish 75 hard, huh? And I'm like, hey, dude, it's a fucking group. It's not a movie title. It's not a new TV show on Netflix. It's a group. It needs to just be upfront and honest with what it is.
What did he want it to be called?
Well, Blazing Saddles. I don't fucking know. But the problem is, it's a group. It's not a movie.
Yeah.
There is no movie trailer. Like Die Hard, right? Like, you can't really name that movie. Bruce Willis goes to downtown against all. That's the description, right? On Facebook groups, You want to be very deliberate with what it is. So when people read the title, it's like, oh, they know Will or they know Eric. 75 Hard Mental Challenge 2020. Like, oh, right off the bat, you know what it is. He was just busting our balls. All good. But I feel like be that way with yourself. If you need a meeting with yourself, if you need a meeting with your team, if you need a meeting with your family, right, with your wife or your kids or whatever it is, like, call it that, like, progress meeting with so-and-so, right? Like accountability meeting for chores with kiddos. Anti-complacency meeting with self Friday at 5 p.m. Like, call it what it is and be upfront and honest about it and keep it simplistic. Like, don't over romanticize your approach, because you're just going to over romanticize the bullshit you tell yourself of whether you're adequate there or not.
Well, people have to ask themselves, okay, when I've tried to do things like this in the past, has this worked for me?
Yeah.
And man, by the time you're in your 30s, you should have a pretty damn good feel for what you're going to do and what you're not. And where I think people mess up a lot is they don't put a system in place. Like, you have to have enough self-awareness to be like, the 3,000 times I've tried to go on a diet before, it hasn't worked. So why do I think keto is going to work for me? Why do I think this is going to work for me?
Take your shirt off, look in the mirror. I bet that helps you. But you don't do that, do you?
You got to put a system in place, and like finding out what you've done before and what you haven't done before. And like for us, I think, I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't talk about the benefits of us having a partnership. The fact that like we show up every day for this, I'll call it like a figurative leg day. That's why you always want a gym buddy. Like, gym buddies are huge. Fun fact, going to the gym together is the one thing Will and I do not do together. We're with each other all day, every day. Minus going to the gym. But man, it's like
Eli hogs all the big weights, and I don't play that game.
Our business is our figurative leg day, to where it's like, man, I know that my buddy's waiting on me at the gym at 6 a.m. I'm going, whether I feel like it or not, because he's going to call me a bitch if I don't. Right?
And not just like I'm waiting on you, but like you have your roles in this business. I have my roles in this business.
We're both needed. Yeah.
We're both needed. And if I don't get my shit done, man, like, it's one thing if I let myself down. You got to be a sorry motherfucker. Let your buddy down. Especially your buddy that's putting out and doing the work that he's supposed to adhere to for you as well. But no, man, it's super important. And I think that for me, 2021, if I had a message for other people, humbly, if you even want to listen to me, right? Proficiency and consistency. And I think they go together, right? Like, consistency is great. Hey, consistency is key. And it's true. It's true. But we've got to be proficient at what we're doing. We see this in real estate. We see it in lending. It's like, man, it's not just about showing up every day, but you've got to be proficient at your craft along with being consistent. So like, for example, take the YouTube page. Every single email responded. Every single comment on any video that was appropriate responded. And we're constantly, right, consistently in contact with people that are asking for help. So it's not just about, oh, I'm consistent with video, right? Man, I'm consistent. I'm putting it out. Yeah, but you've got to be proficient with how you're handling clients or the public there, right? You've got to be proficient with your system of, how do your emails come through? Where's it come to? Okay, we've got our hyperlink in the text below the video, correct? You can click on that. You go to our website. From our website, you can send an email or the number on the screen. You can text it, right? We text back. You can call it. If we don't answer right away, we will call you back. There's a proficient system and process that is able for us to not only communicate with the outside, but also like just document and just be able to see where everyone is at. So if you have people that are 6 months out, 4 months out, 1 month out, whatever that may be, we can track where we're at with those clients and help them along as they go further, right? And that's like the proficient side of it. It's not just about showing up every day and recording video. What are you doing with it? Like, where's the conversion? And this is where I have conversations. Man, we've had conversations a lot about this recently when we're talking to other business people or we're giving some advice on what we're good at and how it works. Where does it push the needle? And especially if we're talking B2B, if we're talking to other realtors or lenders or other people that are in business, we're in sales. Sales is relationships, right? And it's not just about the ideology behind getting creative or this or that. Like, hey, what pushes the needle? Like, where's your conversion? Don't tell me how many likes you have. Tell me how many homes you've sold. Right? Like, don't tell me how many phone calls you've had. Tell me how many homes you've sold. Don't tell me how many text messages you've had. Tell me how many homes you've sold. Because those text messages, those phone calls, those emails, those in-persons, right? There's got to be a process, right, of phone call to Zoom meeting to flying to Denver and looking at areas, dialing in an area to looking at homes in those areas to pulling the trigger on a home. There's an entire process that we help everybody with from
and processes within the processes.
Yes, and then processes within those processes that complete something and get it done. And it all starts from like people just watching our channel. But again, it's like there's so much more on the back end, and there's so much more to be spoken about when it comes to proficiency than just showing up every day. Because if you're just showing up every day for the sake of showing up every day, or showing up and doing a decent amount, like, hell yeah, you show up every day and you're recording videos and you're getting YouTube videos out there, but you have no idea, you know, how to communicate. Or you do. Oh, I don't know. I call the people back. Or hey, I text message to people, but like, do you understand how to have guided, direct conversations with these people that get them dialed in and converted to a transaction? There's so much proficiency there. And I know, man, I love to have fun. I love to chit chat. I love energy in rooms. I love to bullshit and have a good time with the bros and stuff. And I think sometimes I was talking to you about this, and you said I was probably wrong, but sometimes I feel like because I'm goofing off or having a good time, it's almost like I'm not exposing how dialed in we actually are, or how serious and detailed I feel momentum or direction with people. Or places or things that do correlate into conversion. Maybe I don't speak enough about those things, but if you're listening right now, I think, good consistency. Let's find a way to be consistent with ourselves and with our business, but more importantly, how well am I proficient within my systems that actually turn or push the needle in our business that creates more income and a better future.
Well, and guys, that's something that's developed over time. And you know how our systems and processes all got put in place? We fucked something up. And we have a system. Yeah, we have a system and a process, and we're going through, and then you realize you're going through your emails, and then you're like, you see one from last week, and you're like, oh shit, how did I not respond to that guy? Okay, so what do? I went into my Gmail filters, and I set up filters so that any email that comes from an address ending in X, like our website, gets flagged with a star and puts a little label on it that says it's a lead, right? Okay, cool. I saw a week-old email, and I immediately put a fix in place. And I think that's one of the things that it really is just a differentiating factor between just
risk management, man. Just in real time risk management.
Well, and just being resourceful and learning and just being on top of shit and realizing the second you see a little speed bump, okay, how can I address that? Because guys, there's fixes for everything out there. And ultimately that's how the best systems and processes, you don't know everything that you don't know, right? You have to go through it, but you also have to be aware and in real time and have enough expectation of high quality service from yourself that you realize when you delivered something less than high quality and immediately try and get that fixed.
And that's that consistent part. If you're consistently showing up every day, you're going to find out what's working and what's not working in your business. You're going to feel and you're going to see where things slip through the cracks, per se, correct?
Right.
And then that proficiency side is like, hey, just doing all you can either within yourself or being resourceful and asking others or seeking others that can help you figure out what those control measures should be to prevent whatever's happening, right? And some of them you can handle on your own. Maybe some of these other ones you need advice. Hey, cool. But the consistent part has to come first, right? And this is where, like, no matter what course you're buying, not that there's not a lot of great courses out there. We're building one ourselves. I think it's phenomenal. But it's not going to be directly for you. You still have to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and how you apply someone else's course. And we've done this with ourselves, man. Like, we take what works and what doesn't work from maybe some other people we heard speak or some other courses that we took, and we're taking what's working and we're leaving what's not for us, and just figuring out like our own master plan. Of how we operate and how we execute. And I think, today, and I know we're going to get a lot into this, guys. We've got a podcast coming up next week, just after New Year's. We're going to cover a lot of what we did with Andy Frisella and Sal and just what our experience was there. We're going to cover some things that we're doing currently and what our approach is for the new year as far as like pushing the needle on our own stuff and then giving direct examples of what we're doing with those. So whether it be private Facebook groups, a second YouTube channel, relationships, those are going to be 3 big pillars that we're going to be talking about next week. But today, not to be too long-winded and maybe spoil some of that stuff for next week, I want to be able to give the time that it deserves. I think the biggest thing for us, in our reflection, Eli, and I'll let you kind of like close this thing out, but consistency and proficiency, huge. And then understanding like how to be resourceful, how to feel your market, how to feel what's going on and pivot. and how can you be super proactive and feeling when pivots are needed? Because it's not just COVID. There's just times when your business has to be proficient. And I remember Andy talking about just he's not the most talented person, or he didn't have any money or any of that, but it was like making the right decisions, right, with relationships or the direction he wanted the company to go. Like, there's not enough spoken about those pivots, and I think we're going to hit it hard. And I think the reflection of 2020 is correct pivots, finding a way to stay consistent and proficient at those new endeavors that we pivoted into.
And the only thing I would add to that is just constantly be running an analysis, as Will would call it, an after action report. Everything you do, every part of your business, if you just feel like you're in your life, like, and when I say business, I also mean life. Those two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So, just constantly analyzing, how is my business running? What's feedback that I'm getting from my customers? What's feedback I'm getting from my wife? What's the feedback that I'm getting from my kids, but they're not telling me?
What's working? What's not working?
Exactly.
How can I address the pieces that are not working? Or get rid of something that's not working? And then what is working, how can I triple down and put more effort and reap some benefit from those and triple down on them?
100%. I think that's all we got, bro.
I don't want to spoil next week. I want some time to go into relationships, private Facebook groups, second YouTube channel, how we're building our business with an EXP and some of the roles that other people are going to have, around our business, and the people that we're partnering with and wanting to partner with other people that can also benefit from what we're doing. I want to give the time that those topics deserve. So I think we, just a couple key pieces today on our reflection that's going to lead into production for 2021 was the biggest piece today. I think we hit that. So I'm just going to blue ball everybody. And we're going to cut it off right now, and we're going to holler at you next week.
If you guys found any value in this episode or our podcast, if you could give it a share, give it a review on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. We live stream on YouTube and Facebook. All those places, guys, wherever you're at, you can find us. We appreciate your support.
We'll see you next week.
See you guys. Take care.
Out.